Alright gamers, welcome to my patch 13.19 ADC tier list. I forgot to rename this actually, but whatever. Tier list is right here. You should have paused it or take a good look, because we're going to move on in a second to see what happened in the patch notes. If you're wondering why I'm not using a camera for this particular video, this is what my lighting looks like right now. It's not perfect. Yeah, unfortunately my curtains don't really fully cover the window and the sun is just very unfortunately positioned right now. So I think we'll do without for this one. Yeah, okay, so that's tier list, and moving on to the patch notes. What has changed this patch? We start off with a Zeri Nerf. Zeri base movement speed decreased. Just a fairly simple nerf. 5 movement speed removed. Hard to judge the impact of that. But for example, I thought it would have a great impact on her because she is fairly movement speed reliant. You know, like her whole theme is just running around really fast. And her win rate did drop by, what is that, 1.4%, which is a huge nerf. That being said, they did also nerf Statikk Shiv on this patch, didn't they? So it's hard to say how much is the Shiv nerf and how much is the movement speed nerf. I would say it's maybe half and half, but, you know, impossible to say. But basically, she got hit by a double nerf, so... Previously, we had her actually... I already had her pretty bad because she's really bad for beginners. Or even just low elo players in general. You need to have really good mechanics to make Zeri work. So I already had her, like, middle of the pack in C tier. Now I have her at the bottom of C tier. Which doesn't really fully represent just how much worse she is on this patch. It is a significant drop. It's just that I couldn't really drop her any further than this. Then after that, we've got a Jhin Buff. So Jhin, our minimum physical damage increased. Minimum physical damage went up from 50 at rank 1 to 64, so a minimum damage increase of 14. And then I think that also increases his damage at the the maximum damages as well, because like the lower HP the target is, I think the more damage it does, right? Which means if you increase the minimum, you're also increasing the maximum by an even greater percentage. It's not being clear here, but either way, I mean, I think it's a significant buff. And it's an even bigger buff at later ranks as well. The damage at max rank, for example, is up by 44 as minimum damage, so should be a significant increase. So Jhin, he also had like an indirect buff in 13.18, I think it was, from the Stormwizard buff. Yeah, so he was... initially 50.9, basically with 51% when we were with Stormwizard. Then the Stormwizard buff happened, brought him up to 51.4%, so 0.4% increase from just the Stormwizard buff. Now 13.19. So far as run rate with Stormwizard is 52.12, so that's like a further 7%, no, sorry, 0.7% increase. And a full like 1.1% increase from patch 13.7 before the Stormwizard buff, before the Jhin buff. So he's actually become quite a bit better. Did I forget to move him, or where was he before? Oh, so I think I had him at the top of C tier before, if I remember correctly. And now I'm tentatively putting him in like bottom of B tier. I think I might be underrating him though. I think thing is, he is also very simple to play. His win rate will be a little bit inflated from that. We'll have to see. Like in a future patch, I may change his placement to be either top of B tier or maybe making the cut at the bottom of A tier. But he's definitely like significantly improved within the past 2 patches for sure. Maybe somewhere middle of B tier as well could have been realistic. I don't put like too much thought into like the exact placement within a specific tier. It's just generally like usually the start of a tier would be better than the loss of a tier, but I'm not like putting so much thought into is he really worse than Tristan or Kalista? Like it's not that important. But yeah, significantly improved within the previous 2 patches. I'll probably give him a go as well at some point. See what it feels like now. And oh, there's also the chance as well that this benefited lethality builds more than crit builds, because his ultimate does benefit more from lethality than crit, but time will tell. There shouldn't really be much sample size on that yet, I doubt. After that, there was one more buff, a Twitch buff. So Twitch, our missile speed increased from 4,000 to 5,000. So that's a 20% increase, I believe, if I'm not terrible at math. So this is a pretty good change because a lot of the time you can just straight up miss Twitch ult. Like you will auto attack a target and they will be moving to the side and they will just sidestep your ult completely unintentionally. Like a lot of the time when people dodge your ult, they're not even doing it on purpose. It's just bad champion design that Twitch ults can be dodged. But this should help at least a little bit with that. And so another thing that increases your missile speed is attack speed, for example. And this is just like a stupid thing that made attack speed like a much more important stat on Twitch than it should have been, just purely because it would make his ult miss less. And so this basically imitates the effect of attack speed over your ultimate. So it is going to be a pretty good buff. I believe the win rate increase he saw from that was 0.4%. Yep. Exactly 0.4% actually. Which is not an amazing buff. I mean, it is like fairly niche. It's not like every single ultimate cost you were missing autos. It's just very particular scenarios. You can miss autos and it was very, very frustrating and shouldn't really have been a thing. It's probably still a thing, but at least it'll happen a little bit less now. As for his win replacement though, I mean, I still don't think he's better than Vayne. I think Vayne is really good right now. I think these two are pretty good. I don't think it makes him better than these. It's just a like slight improvement to him. Alright, and I think that is with everything. Well, actually, there is the Statikk Shiv nerf, of course, we should cover. I don't think it's, I have enough data really to actually like reevaluate the tier list based off of Statikk Shiv nerfs, but basically the way you should think of the Statikk Shiv nerfs, this affects more champions who don't actually have great wave clear. So it's really backwards, but a lot of the great Statikk Shiv users are users like Sivir, Caitlyn, Kai'Sa, champions who actually already have pretty good wave clear within their kit, and that is just because Statikk Shiv like pushes it to the next level, where just one Sivir W, even early game before she has a lot of items, is already just one-shotting waves. Whereas, for example, Aphelios, or maybe what's a better example? Aphelios is a good example. Aphelios previously, before this patch, even after the previous Statikk Shiv nerfs, if he auto-attacked the entire wave, and Statikk Shiv, you know, did a sting, did his damage across the entire wave, then Aphelios could just auto-attack the casters once to kill them. Like, not the entire caster, but like, you know, there's 3 casters, and he could kill them in 3 autos. One auto kills one caster, one auto kills the other caster, one auto kills the final caster. That was true before the Statikk Shiv nerfs, the initial ones, and then it was true still in the previous patch, even after the Statikk Shiv nerf. And I think Riot realized that their nerf actually wasn't as impactful as they wanted it to be, because in a lot of circumstances, it wasn't actually changing much about the time it takes a champion to wave clear. So they said, okay, minus 50 damage again should do it this time. And they are right, because now when Aphelios, for example, or Vayne, this should also be true for Vayne, you can auto-attack the wave and apply Statikk Shiv on that wave, and the casters now, instead of being 1 auto-attack away from death, will be 2 auto-attacks away from death. Now instead of 3 autos to kill 3 casters, you need 6 autos to kill 3 casters still, which is significantly reduced wave clear. But for example, Sivir, who still can, you know, was building Statikk Shiv and can still do it, did it stop her ability to kill the entire wave in 1W? Nope, not really. Maybe slightly, maybe 2 melees are left with like 1 auto hit away from death, maybe, but she's still one-shotting the casters in 1W cost. Maybe it affected the amount of autos she needs to kill the wave with W, but she's still, you know, her wave clear is still insanely amazing and is still being massively enhanced by the Statikk Shiv. Same for Caitlyn. Did Caitlyn lose this patch the ability to wipe out the entire casters with Statikk Shiv and Q? No, the casters still die to that. The melees still take most of their damage to that combo. They're still going to be 1 or 2 auto attacks away from death, just like they were before. Maybe it slightly increased the amount of time it takes her to commit to killing an entire wave. But, you know, because her Q is already so good at wave clear by itself, Statikk Shiv still remains that small push she needed to just make it completely uninteractive. Whereas champions like Aphelios, Vayne, it's a bigger nerf on them, because they were more reliant on that wave clear, and it wasn't like the extra push they needed to have fantastic wave clear. It's more like they're solely reliant on Statikk Shiv for having wave clear. And now that Statikk Shiv is not so amazing by itself, their wave clear has suddenly taken a massive hit compared to previous patches. So, hard to say. I mean, a lot of people weren't even doing Statikk Shiv and Aphelios, for example. And Vayne, for example, she also performs really well with Stormrazor at the moment. I think I'm just going to switch over to Stormrazor. I've tried it twice on Vayne. Already, I think. Maybe 3 times even? No, I think twice. And anyway, it feels amazing. Like, it's really, really strong. It's a shame because Statikk Shiv feels really nice in terms of covering her weakness. But the thing is, there's not much difference when it comes to champion balancing between using an item that removes one of your champion's weaknesses or using an item that massively buffs up your champion's strengths. Either way, it's all about the sum of your parts, and it doesn't matter like how much lack of wave clear is dragging Vayne down if her strengths are just massively dragging her up. You know, you could either have her strengths massively dragging her up, or you could have her weaknesses be less weak, which is what Statikk Shiv did. But instead, you just have Stormrazor just massively enhancing her natural playstyle, or at least the one that she now has, which is, you know, just entirely Q focused. Actually, her win rate's actually way lower than they should be as well. Way too many people are still maxing W. Q max, way better. Way too many people using lethal tempo, lethal work, way better. What you want to do on Vayne right now is entirely Q-based, poke-focused playstyle. You Q forwards when fleet is up, you auto-attack them, you heal from it. Nice. You base on 700 gold, you get Kerchay's Shard, you Q forwards, you hit them with Statikk Shiv and fleet footwork, you win that trade, and you back off. And you wait until your Q is back up, and you wait until your fleet is back up, and you wait until your Kerchay's is back up, and you just keep going for those short trades over and over. Barely anybody can outtrade you. Then you upgrade you upgrade the Kerchay's to either Statikk Shiv or Stormrazor, and now your trades are even better. Then you get the Sheen. Your Q trades are even better. You get the Triforce, or if you want to do lethality, you can also do Essence Reaver. And it's just incredibly hard to outtrade Vayne when she's going for those constant, like, short trades. And unlike other ADCs who could also, like, you know, try and trade with Fleet and Kerchay's, she has Q to force the trade. It is, you know, basically impossible to avoid trading with Vayne when she has Fleet and Kerchay's up, because she can force it so easily by just queuing forwards. And her Q is also generating Fleet and Kerchay's stacks, so she's getting insane amount of sustain in team fights from Fleet compared to other ADCs, because she's generating so many stacks from fucking queuing all the damn time, which generates, I think, 12 stacks per dash, if I remember correctly. And that's also another thing she can do to cheese those trades in lane, is she doesn't even have to wait until Fleet is stacked. She can wait until she has 88 Fleet stacks, and then queue forwards, and it's the same as having Fleet at 100. Same for Kerchay's. Like, it's just ridiculous. She is, like, massively enhanced by this new playstyle. And yeah, so I mean, you can either use Statikk Shiv to, like, remove that weakness of hers of Statikk Shiv, of lack of wave clear, by fixing it with Statikk Shiv, or you can just acknowledge, yep, okay, I'll have that weakness of wave clear, and just focus on buffing up the existing playstyle with Stormrazor. And this is just huge, because you just queue forwards, hit them, and then you just sprint backwards so fast with Stormrazor, not only, which you're using to generate even more Fleet and Stormrazor stacks, by the way, because you're moving so fast, and there's just zero room for retaliation by the enemies. I actually tested this onto an Ashe in my previous Vayne game as well, I think it was, or maybe my second to last Vayne game. And you can actually queue forwards onto Ashe, trade with her, like, she will hit you back and slow you with her passive, and just sprint backwards, and it's like you're not even slowed. She can't actually, like, extend the trade as she usually should be able to, because you're just moving so fast even while slowed. Like, it's ridiculous. It is just such a ridiculous playstyle, incredibly strong right now, incredibly underutilized. I actually thought more people would be onto this, but I guess not. 61% of people still maxing W. 84% still using lethal tempo. At least they are using Statikk Shiv, which is, you know, probably not as good as Stormrazor right now, especially after this patch. But yeah, I mean, they're not getting the full extent of it by not maxing Q and by not using Fleet alongside it. So make sure to try it. It is super fun, super effective. Yeah, honestly, maybe I should even be rating Vayne higher, because a lot of the way that I judge builds is like, okay, what is their 1-item win rate? Okay, looks fairly decent. What is their 2-item win rate? Because I need to look at what is their win rate when built correctly, not just in the hands of the average player. I need to see, when built optimally, how good is this champion? So how good is her 2-item win rate? Okay, fairly good for the average ADC. What is her 3-item win rate? And this is where it gets a little bit misleading potentially, because she's a good scaling champion, so of course her 3-item win rates would be high. But okay, so 3-item win rate, yeah, okay, fairly decent. And her first 2-item win rate is good as well, and her 1-item win rate is good as well. Okay, so she seems fairly good. So I put her about top of 8 here. But if this is being dragged down by nobody using fleet and nobody maxing Q, you know what? Maybe she's even S tier. I'll have to have a further look at that. Maybe for next tier list, I'll rank her a little bit higher. Either top of 8 tier, maybe S tier. We'll see. But yeah, anyway, I think that just about covers all the relevant ADC changes for this patch. Yeah, Randuin's Omen change partially affects ADCs. It's not going to really affect the tier list, besides making crit users a little bit weaker. If that was a buff, I'm assuming. I don't actually know what that is. I usually just skim over anything that isn't ADC based. Oh, wow. Wait, they just straight up reduced the cost by 300. My god. Yeah, so I mean, it's not like drastically meta changing, but technically you could see ADC win rates that are reliant on crit maybe dropping by 0.1% or something. And on hit win rates not changing. But anyway, yeah, so I hope you found this tier list helpful. Make sure to like and subscribe. I've got a lot of educational ADC content on this channel that I'm sure you will find very helpful to learn how to climb on ADC. So make sure to subscribe for that, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Later, gamers.